right, so you're feeling a little fired up from the hot seat. We're gonna keep that fired up, that Mars energy going. And like I said, Peter's speech and debate. You and I were both athletes, right? But Peter's speech and debate.
Yeah.
So we're gonna enter Peter's field.
Yeah.
We're going to speech and debate. I'll let him explain it, but the first competition is gonna be you and Peter.
Got it.
Okay, so this is great debates. So we're competing for the title of Master Debater. And so I grew up as speech captain at my school, so there's a lot of rules. So we're going to give a topic, and one person's going to have the advantage and be able to pick which one they want to pick. And then that person has 30 seconds to make their case. The other person then has 30 seconds to make their case and 30 seconds to rebuttal the other case. Then the first person has 30 seconds to rebuttal that case. And whoever's not competing determines the winner.
And so the first one, we're going to go with wax or flour. You have the advantage. You picked flour. So Peter's going to take wax. You're going to have 30 seconds to defend flour. Then we'll give Peter a minute. Then you'll get 30 seconds again. And then I decide.
Got it.
All right. So
since I'm judging, I'll time this one.
Sweet.
I got you guys covered. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So flour.
So I say again, why flour?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and it's wait. What's the? It's just simple wax or flour. That's
so you're
right,
trying.
And you're debating against Peter. You have to defend flour. He's going to defend wax.
So your stance: flour's better than wax.
Yes.
30 seconds.
Go.
Okay. Yeah. So flour is better than wax. I think first of all because flour comes straight from nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it doesn't require man-made effort in order to turn it into anything. So we're getting it directly from nature, right? And I think the greatest scientist in the world is nature, and right, they don't make nature doesn't make any accidents about what it produces.
All right. Well, my case for why wax is better is accessibility. Concentrate is always cheaper than flour, and it's more bang for your buck. You can get 1 gram for $20 around the country and kind of ration it out. So it's for people who can't enjoy the pleasures of flour. And I think that wax also helps you get higher quicker, so it's more of an efficient product. So to refute the case that you brought up, how flour is from nature, I think that wax is a derivative of nature and is actually man's impact on nature. So I think it is more of a cool interim with how man and nature interact before you actually smoke it. So you're having that evolution, that interaction with the THC before it even enters your body. And so I think that is why wax is better and flour is only a catalyst to that.
Yeah, my turn now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. And, the thing about man's effect, okay, is even in nature, right? You put a seed in the ground without anyone even doing anything, you create the plant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, as soon as man has to manufacture or process something, right, human error comes into it. And, when I was growing up, I would eat vegetables, but I'd eat them from a can. Mm-hmm. And the whole time, I didn't even know that vegetables grew in the ground. Right, so with the concentrates, people don't realize nature's impact.
All right, Brian.
All right.
Whew. First off, Ricky, how do you feel about that?
That's cool.
All right.
I was fine.
Both sides made really good arguments. I'm gonna have to go with Ricky on this one. That last little bit of fresh vegetables versus canned vegetables really put it over the top for me.
Ding, ding, ding. All right.
The winning argument.
Ricky.
And I'm on that side too, so a little biased.
Okay, all right. Ricky wins the first round. I'm okay with that. So now, Ricky, you're going to be the one judging.
Okay.
So we're going to be debating the topic, and I have advantage this time since I didn't have advantage last time. So the topic that we're going to be discussing is, do you clump or fold toilet paper? So I have the advantage. I'm going to choose clump, and I have 30 seconds to state my case whenever you're ready, Ricky. Or Brian, do you want to?
I got it.
Okay, cool.
Ready and go.
So when you clump, it gives a better surface area because the when you fold it, there's only one kind of area that you can create with that fold, and it actually also just makes it smaller. When you take that bigger string and clump it all together and make a huge ball, it creates more surface area, so you don't have, shit flying on your ass more else. And also it gets into those nooks and crannies that a fold simply cannot. So that's why I think clumping is more effective and more cost effective.
Okay, I think the fold, because when you're clumping, you might wipe and then you like reposition, but now you're putting shit on your hand, or you might wipe it back on. But when you wipe and then you fold, well, you've covered all that, so you know that you're going back in with a fresh, clean sheet of TP, So you're going in clean, you're gonna get your work done. And then you're talking about this big string that you're gonna ball up. When you fold, you can start with 1 or 2 squares, and then you fold, and then you fold, and then you fold, and you can get like 6, 7, 8 wipes out of one little set. And then also to rebuttal the flushing process. If it's all clumped up like that, it's like this big wad, instead of like you fold it up all nice and tight, it's going to flow through the pipes a little bit more easily. So the flush process even isn't going to work as well if you've been clumping it up. You've got to get those nice folds and nice easy flow.
Okay, well, I'll rebuttal the case of double dipping. I think you are claiming double dipping with TP, and so you're going twice with the same handful. With clumping, you take the certain amount that you need, and if you need more, you take more. And so with that process, it actually creates a process where the clump is easier to be broken down. So if you're folding it over and over again, it creates a big more of a stoppage. And so that's why it can clog even more with folded rather than clumped.
Nice.
So Ricky,
yeah,
what do you think? Who won?
It was close, but at the end where you lost me was having to get another piece, where I think the ability to fold and reuse is like
okay. Well, Brian wins that round. So Brian and Ricky, whoever's keeping score, currently have 1 point each.
Ooh.
So now it's going to be Ricky versus Brian.
Let's go.
Brian, you have the advantage this time. So the topic is the most important fruit to have in a smoothie. And so your time starts now.
All right, the most important fruit in a smoothie is the banana. All right, it doesn't do a lot for the flavor. It's a good flavor, but the texture, it changes the entire texture. All right, you put in your frozen berries. I'm a fan of throwing spinach and other greens in my smoothie. Put all that in, your protein, whatever else that you're going with, liquid. But the texture just is not right until you add the banana. It's critical piece.
Okay, so I think the best fruit to have in a smoothie are apples. Is because apples are sweet and they have fiber, and so they're going to help for any formula that you put it in. Apples are easy. You have flexibility. If you want even more nutrients, you can peel the apple. I mean, you can keep the peel on, but if you don't like the peel because it gets in your teeth, right? Pretty easy. You can skin it, and it's good for you. Rebuttal time. Okay, so the rebuttal bananas is a lot of people have banana allergies, and it's a very sweet fruit, and so it raises the hypoglycemic index, whereas apples are pretty much good for anyone. I don't know anyone that's allergic to apples. And you have more variety when it comes to apples. You can do red, green, sweet, so you have more flexibility in what you do with apples.
All right, my rebuttal to apples, I'm going to go back again to the texture, is while I'm a big fan of an apple, you slice it up, have it plain or with some peanut butter, some honey, whatever, fantastic fruit. I don't disagree with you there. But they ruin the texture of the smoothie, right? You put them in there and they just don't get smooth. Like even when you puree them, like applesauce, it's not smooth, right? So it just totally ruins the texture of the smoothie. And I can get all my nutrients from a variety of fruits, but the texture
done. All right. Well, that was interesting. I'm gonna have to go with Brian.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with Brian, and I'll tell you why. I think Brian had more of the smoothie in mind, where you had more of the ingredients in mind. So that's why I'm going to go with Brian.
Yep.
So Brian has 2 points, Ricky has 1, and I am at 0 for the point time being. So the next one is you versus me. You have advantage. Brian, you want to give the question?
Yeah, so Ricky, you and Peter, and actually Peter, you have the advantage. Ricky had it on the first time you guys competed with the wax or flower question.
Okay.
So we're going to give you the advantage this time on deciding between Godzilla or King Kong.
Well, I'm going to go Godzilla. So why I think Godzilla is better than King Kong is because of just the cultural impact. So Godzilla started as a political message for the atomic bombs and nuclear reactors and nuclear power. Godzilla was an amalgamation of how that power could be used for evil and destruction. And it was this idea of a totally powerful, impossibly to defeat power that humans have created, and that now they have to reap the sow and yeah.
Okay, so I'm going with King Kong because in our evolution, at least one version is we evolved from primates, and so I think especially as an artistic endeavor, it has the ability to put us more in touch with our responsibility in creating all of the horror and tragedy that humans bring, and I think it really epitomizes. If we don't deal with our animal nature, that it does crazy things like, kidnaps women. And the rebuttal is, I think, by making it a reptile, we're going so far back in evolution, we're creating too much space between us and what it symbolizes that we lose the connection. And it's easy to project it off into some reptilian kind of being than being closer and us owning that the atomic bomb came out of our minds.
Okay, so my rebuttal to that is Godzilla would kick King Kong's ass because he has a flamethrower breath and King Kong just has his big monkey arms. I also think that Godzilla is more of a reflection of the human, and while it might not be easier to read with the primate, it's more accurate because it's more of an abomination of what humans can achieve and what they can create, where King Kong is more of a reflection of who we are rather than what we can produce. And so I would say that Godzilla is more culturally impactful because of that.
All right, that was well done. I like both sides, but I'm going to go with Peter. Well,
Yes!
One-on-one, Godzilla's going to win, and I'm just going to have to go with
Yeah, that's true.
I think the whole King Kong being like a reflection of, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So that was just really interesting.
Yeah.
So I have 1 point. Ricky's got one.
I've got 2.
You got 2. All right, let's see if Ricky can come back with it. So you have advantage this time.
Okay.
So
It's me and
Brian. I'll be judging. So, play to the judge.
Yeah.
So, sun or moon?
I'm going to go with the sun.
All right.
Okay.
And your time starts now.
Yeah. So I'm going with the sun because it's the spark to life, and even the moon gets all of its light from the sun. And of course the moon is important because they go one in one, but without the sun, that we wouldn't even know that the moon exists. Mm-hmm. And going even a little bit deeper into astrology, how we feel about something is so much connected to how we identify. And so the identification...
Right.
All right, so I'm going to go with the moon because, the sun is, it's providing energy and providing light, but what's it providing light to? Without a soul, without a spirit, without something to be sparked by this energy, so the moon gives the sun a purpose, right? And so by giving that purpose, the moon becomes the purpose and becomes super important. And then to combat to rebuttal the sun, it's providing all this light, but it's got no control, it's got no harness, it's just going, and so it's out of control and it's going to burn and it's going to destroy, and it needs something to rein in all that energy. And to even the sun, we can't take it directly, it has to be reflected back off the moon for us to really take it in and handle it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's a great point. And One example is daytime, right? In the daytime, because of the light of the sun, okay, we can see everything. We can interact with it. Yeah, there's shadows and certain things we don't see, but in the daytime, we go out and we act. The moon at night is that reflective time where we can reflect on our actions and make adjustments. But even that serves the purpose of the sun. So the next day, we can see even more clearly because we spent time reflecting.
Okay. Cool. So neither can exist without the other. Great job debating, guys. Basically proved each other's points.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was expecting you to take the moon, I gotta say.
Yeah.
So, okay. I won't judge it on which is better. I'll say who gave the best explanation. And I'll commend Brian. You did say that without the moon, the sun has no purpose. I liked that. That really got me. But Ricky's point about seeing with the sun and how the moon is a reflection of that shows to me that I think the sun might be a little bit more important. So, well, obviously that's not the case because blah, blah, blah. But Ricky, you're the winner.
Yeah.
I'll say you're the winner.
That was tough because in my chart, the moon is my strongest planet. And
And in my chart.
Yeah, so it forced us to play the other one. That's why I chose it. I
like
felt
that.
more comfortable playing the opposite.
Nice. All right. So Ricky has 2 points. Brian has 2 points. I have 1 point. So this is the way to.
This is a big one for you.
This is the way to. So, Ricky, you're going to be judging this. Brian has advantage. Question is goth or jock?
All right, well, I'm going to go Ricky's standpoint here, and I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to say the goth. I'm going to take the goth side because the goth is taking self-expression to they're not hiding it. They might even think that they're hiding it, but in a way, they become so confident in the expression of themselves, whereas the athlete is having to pretend to be something and showcase something and go create bravado, whereas the goth is...
All right, so my point with the goth and the jock is I do believe that goth's strengths comes from their self-expression, and I think that goes within sports as well. I think you express yourself when you're out on the field, but I think what's important about sports is that you are physically active, and it requires you to be physically active and be in tune with your body. Being goth, from personal experience, I can sit on my bed and watch horror movies and listen to the Smiths all day and be considered the biggest goth ever. But if I want to be the best athlete, I really have to prove myself in a audience of other people. Whereas with goth, if you're not as goth as the other person, then it's gatekeeping, and they say you're not this, you're less than. Where with sports, if someone says you're not as good, you can get better. Where with goth, you're either that or you're not. So it's an entire culture created on gatekeeping, and why sports is better and being a jock is better is because you are more open to more experiences and you are willing to get better with your team.
All right, well, sports has all types of gatekeeping because if you're not good enough, you get excluded from the team. So that definitely exists in sports as well. And everything is relying upon, I need my teammates. I need people to be watching. I need all these outside things for sports to even matter. Whereas this goth is self-expression. It's becoming in tune with oneself and forgetting all the other voices and just really listening to one's own voice and one's own expression.
Yeah. So, Peter, you win this one, but it was the technique was interesting because he used what he knows about goth. He leaned into that to refute it, and then showed like the opposite with sports. You know, whereas maybe if you would have leaned into sports a little bit more and refuted it, that was skillful. So the question I have for you is what planet in Peter's chart represents goth?
What planet? Can I look at his chart?
No. It's so you shouldn't need to.
All right. What planet in Peter's chart represents goth? I'm
So easy.
I'm gonna go with Venus.
No.
Well, shoot.
Well, time out. That's the worst possible answer you could have given. First, Venus and Sag. Just like Venus and Sag. What feels goth about that? Nothing. Okay, it's the Pluto. See, look how the Pluto in the first. Pluto is horror movies, dark. the truth that's underneath. Okay, because part of, especially it's something that you see when you first meet them. Okay, that's part of the ascendant, right? And so right, I don't feel comfortable expressing these dark truths a certain way, and so I express them another way. Okay, Pluto. That's 100 textbook Pluto.
This is not me being defensive. It's me wanting to show my work.
Yeah.
Right. So I went first house, and I went first house being ruled by Sag, right? So I was looking to aim there, and I guess I should have gone with like the simplest answer, Pluto, right? And I wanted to be a little bit more creative than that with Venus, because I think that the goth self-expression, there's something that is found to be aesthetically beautiful about it, and that's what draws him to it. And that's where I went to Venus, because it's this this goth expression is beautiful.
All right, yeah. So, but Venus is about beauty and expression, right? But we all have different tastes, okay? And so we're not talking about, if we were saying, wow, you're attractive, then I said, what makes him so attractive? Then you could lean into Venus, and then you could add the goth later. Okay. But if it's the goth, that's the Pluto. And the Venus is in service to the Pluto. So the way he expresses the beauty, it encapsulates the Pluto. But someone has Pluto in the first, like, and you see it, it's like Pluto rules the color black. It's like, Venus rules yellow. Okay. Right?
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let me explain why I am goth from my perspective. And I think it does have a little bit to what you were saying is like, and I wrote an essay about this in college, so I have had this conversation with myself before, it's an invitation, basically. Is if I express myself like this, it's an invitation for people who like understand it or have similar beliefs to me. So since I'm wearing this, I'm probably not going to want to talk to somebody who is super into something else, or like this also shows that I'm in a certain type of politics that's incredibly accepting and inclusive. So if you're not with that, then you're probably not going to talk to me because I paint my nails and I wear makeup. So it is like something I show to people, and like this is there's something deeper to me that this aesthetic reflects, but it also is, I think, attractive. I think I look best when I'm dressed like this. I think I look best when I'm wearing black or makeup or something like that. And the Gothic subculture has been kind of like, oh, these are people I agree with. They're more like leftist, and they're more like in tune with each other's emotions, and I want that. So that's a great example of someone talking about the ascendant. That's textbook example of the ascendant, right? It's what we're showing to the world to elicit a certain kind of interaction and response. Okay. So no one won. It's all tied. So we do have a tiebreaker for Master Debater. And since it's a 3-way tie, we're going to have the audience pick who won. So the question is doors or windows. You have 30 seconds to make your case. Whoever makes their case best wins. So Brian, you'll go first, then Ricky, then me. Ready?
30 seconds?
30 seconds. Doors or windows, starting now.
Okay, I'm going to go with doors, all right? Because while both can be opened, both can be used to have a view, because I could even have glass on the door so I could see through the door. So they are very, very similar to each other. But one actually has a good point for entrance and exit. That's a little more functional than the other, right? Doors do. And then also there's no band called the windows, but there is a band called the doors.
All right. Ricky, your time starts now.
Yeah, so I'm going with windows, because the tradition of windows is there's more of an open two-way flow. Is we can see out of the window and see what's going on there, and whoever's out there can see in. And so it's more of a portal, where a door, you have someone behind it who has to like you enough to be able to open it. And so I think doors keep things out, whereas windows allow for an easier flow and exchange.
All right. Somebody time me.
Got you.
All right, I'm going to go with windows as well, because I think doors would not exist without a capitalist government, because if doors signify private property, and like Ricky said, it signifies somebody creating a barrier between themselves and the outer world. If doors didn't exist, then society would still rule and it would be more accepting. If windows didn't exist, if we couldn't see outside of our house, there would be no ground for reality outside of our house, and we would be stuck in a box. And I think that with doors, they also just perpetuate a society of private property.
Right on. Well, audience, let us know in the comments. Do Peter and Ricky win, or do I win?
Whoever had the best case wins, and whoever
so
gets
you can still pick between any of the three. It's not one side or the other. It was the quality of the defense.
So the listeners will figure out who is the master debater. Thank you so much, Ricky, for competing in the great debates. We got one last segment for you. It's a real doozy. It's entitled, so what's up?
Do I just answer it?
Yeah, what's up?
That's the what's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up?
Oh, wow. A lot. There's always a lot up, and I feel like as I get older, I have a greater appreciation for what's up. And as we talked about, I have a tool that helps me gain insight into what's up. And so the main thing up for me is I finally gotten to a point in my life where I have like crystal clear clarity on what I'm doing and what I'm here to do. And a lot of that comes from just my past experiences and looking back and saying, what have these past experiences been preparing me for or pushing me towards? And and as I get that clarity, I'm starting to align my life with that. And I start making conscious choices, but also attracting things, getting in the river. And so I think this conversation is a great example of that. Mm. And I feel like my mission is to share what I know to help people understand themselves better and to claim and own their unique journey. So that's what's up. Is constantly my mind is thinking of more and more creative ways that I can do it. I can accomplish that task.
Wicked. All right.
Awesome.
Well, that concludes our segment. So what's up? You handled it perfectly, Brian. You did amazing.
I know. I worked on this really hard last night. I couldn't keep it together.
So nice job on completing So What's Up. Again, thank you so much for having us, Ricky. It's been an amazing time coming down to LA. Touch some grass, touch some sand, be here with Brian, and just learn about a completely different belief system that I can slightly understand, and also understand why people believe in it and the benefits that it does. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, Peter Constas, thank you, Ricky, for being a part of the show.
Thank you. And you, trust me, you understand it way more than you think. Just your ability to converse back in a language that you had a little bit, but you've pretty much heard for the first time, is extremely impressive. And this is a great example of a Sagittarian experience. Mm-hmm. Because a big part of Sag is breaking routine. Having a broader sense of experiences that add data points to your worldview. So
nice.
Thank you.
And I also would like to express my gratitude to you for taking us in to record here, right? Providing a space and everything, sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, everything here with us, and then with me as my teacher. Just really grateful for all of it, and that the happenstances of how it's all come to be. And I really hope that we can do it again. We'll have you on another time and continue to get deeper and deeper into the conversation and show the audience what's available and what's out there for them, and then create an avenue for them to find it.
Yeah,
and to learn from it.
Even if only 5 people hear this, I'm sure more here, but 5 people hear this and really connect to it. I go back to my first experience with astrology and where I was and how it changed the whole trajectory of my life. And it's just a simple shift of perspective and the realization that all of those crazy thoughts I had that life is meaningful, that I finally had a tool to verify and validate that. I just imagine my life right now if I hadn't found astrology. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I'd still be alive. I have such an intense passion for truth You know, I think if I hadn't found anything that gave me access to it, I probably would have ended my life. It wouldn't have been worth it.
Wow. Well, Ricky, you gave us your time to speak, and a lot of what you said was really powerful, and we're really, privileged to be kind of the catalyst to bring this message to a different audience. So we like to, take some time for the guests to, get something out of it a little bit. I'm sure you got something out of this, but this is your chance to kind of plug what you're doing. I know you're doing this Heisman. I know it's kind of being released in different states. So I'm curious on how people can find you and the different avenues where you go.
Yeah. So, Heisman is a big part of, and cannabis is a big part of my story. And I think from the outside, people see Leela and Astrology over here, and they see Heisman over here. But for me, my favorite thing to do when I consume cannabis is look for patterns, pattern recognition, because when we're in our normal state of consciousness, which is more ruled by Mercury, right? It's kind of what we've been taught. It's logic, which is we need it to be able to function, but there's levels of information and patterns that transcend our logic. And cannabis and the mind state it triggers allows us to let go of the objective mind a little bit more. And then the tool of astrology, the patterns are right there for us to be able to recognize and make meaning. And so they really do come together. And so the people that love to consume cannabis, I suggest you download Leela and combine the two. Because I mean, as I go around the country and I ask people, like, what do you like to do when you consume cannabis? Most people say watch movies and chill, which is a great way to relax. Okay, it's a great way to release tension. But my experience and our tagline is spark greatness. There's more. There's more. And so bringing those two things together. So you got Heisman, and you can, if you're in California, Oregon, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, we're going into Arizona and Washington State.
When are you going to Colorado?
We're later this year.
Oh,
to Colorado. Okay. Colorado is just so competitive because it's really the first state to legalize, and so, but we're making our way there. You can indulge in Heisman, but Leela's available to everyone as long as you have an iPhone. We're still working on Android. But I'd say, kind of what Brian said, one of my visions is everyone looks at their chart. And so I've created a tool that makes it easy.
So if someone like Brian wants to have maybe a more in-depth conversation with you, you kind of mentioned it, but just for the listeners, where could they get in contact with kind of your mentorship? Yeah,
so it's mentorship, whether it's just mentorship in life, someone that's lived intensely, and it's going to tell you the truth. Or if someone is interested in kind of the astrology stuff that we talked about, my website is rickywilliams.life. And usually people will book an hour or 90 minutes just to connect and see. And then a lot of people, like Brian, I do a hour mentoring. That's $100 per hour. And that's really where you get to look at your chart, look at people in your life's chart, and really try to get that deeper understanding of this language. Because, and I'm not overstating it. I think, I'm not going to go as far to say everyone needs it, but just try it out, because it'll definitely improve the quality of your life if you're willing to put the effort in to do the learning.
All right.
Awesome. One last big thank you to you. Big thank you to you, Peter, for being here and helping out, making all this possible. And listeners, of course, thank you to you for coming along and listening, and hopefully you enjoyed the ride and we can give you some more.
Yeah, so tune in to the Ambcat Show. Episodes released every other Wednesday. You can find it on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you check out Ricky Williams at rickywilliams.life. All links down in the description. Ricky, before we go, is there any last words you'd like to say?
Just you guys keep up the good work. Because one of the things that is associated with Sagittarius is broadcasting, publicly shared opinions. So this idea of the adventurer goes out and looks for truth, and when they come back, they have a message to deliver. So keep up the good work.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you.